Hello everyone, welcome to this module of CRISIL TV. Today I will look at the prism that is the power sector from the lens of the lenders and share with you our perspectives on that front. First and foremost, in the power sector, the credit growth from the financial system, which is banks and financial institutions, we believe that the credit growth to the power sector from these entities would moderate to around 5% over the next 3 years as compared to around 18% growth which we had seen in the last 5 years or so. The key reason here is that the lending to the distribution companies would completely go out of the system, wherein state governments would now take up financing the distribution companies or DISCOMs. And on the other hand, generating companies, we are seeing very muted capacity additions, so the demand from their side would also not be high. What will provide a fillip to this credit growth is capacity additions in the renewable segment, where there will be requirement for credit. Now, having looked at the credit growth perspective, if we now look at the extent of delinquencies that the financial system is facing with regard to the power sector, what we have seen is that stressed assets measured by gross NPAs and restructured assets, they have remained broadly steady over the last couple of years at around 14%. However, within that, gross NPAs has actually gone up from around 1.3 odd percent to 4.4%. So what this means as a corollary is that the restructured assets have come down, and that again is contributed by two factors. One is some of the restructured assets slipping into NPAs, and a large part from there under the Uday scheme for distribution companies moving out of the bank's balance sheet to state governments. Now, CRISIL for the power sector, we estimate a metric called debt at risk. So, last year when we had looked at this concept of debt at risk for generating companies, we had estimated a number of 75,000 crores. When we look at the sector once again, we believe that that debt at risk has come down somewhat to 70,000 crores, largely driven by the fact that we have some of the projects being owned by strong sponsors or promoters, which help from the point from a risk perspective, and also the fact that banks are increasingly using restructuring tools like the 525 schemes to ease some of the stress in the loans to the power sector. Now, looking at distribution companies per se, I talked about the fact that state governments would increasingly play a role in extending finance to this segment. So, if we look at the next 3 years, we believe that 3/4 of the financing to distribution companies would come from state governments. So, that is around 3.4 lakh crores out of a total financing amount of 4.6 lakh crores. And the exposure of the banking system would substantially come down. Now, I'd like to close by talking about what are the key variables which are important to sustain the health of the power sector. So, first and foremost, I would say that it would be the effective implementation of the Uday scheme, that the implementation happens as envisaged, which will go a long way to not only help the distribution companies, but as a corollary also generating companies. As far as the banking system is concerned, effective utilization of the restructuring tools accorded by RBI, like the 525 scheme or the SDR or the S4A, that will be important to ensure that the stress levels do not go beyond what we see today. A couple of other things which could help is if the signing of PPAs are accelerated going forward, that will help the sector, and also if some of the weaker projects are taken up by stronger sponsors or promoters, that will also help to alleviate the stress. On that note, I come to the end of this module. Have a nice day.